Welcome to a mini Smart Firefighting podcast series, recorded live at the Institute of Fire Engineers booth during the 2024 AFAC show, Down Under in Sydney, Australia. Throughout these conversations, we dive into critical issues like fire safety, emerging technologies, diversity in the fire service, and innovative solutions for emergency response. Enjoy these fascinating insights from leaders around the world on how we can build a safer and more resilient future. Steve Kaiser, a training officer at Fire and Rescue Victoria, discusses the importance of training and technology in the fire service. He highlights the use of virtual reality and gas props in training and emphasizes the role of the Institute of Fire Engineers in fostering collaboration between firefighters and industry professionals. Officially podcast number 10 of AFAC, sitting alongside Steve Kaiser with Fire and Rescue Victoria. Steve, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. It's a great day to be in Sydney.
Yeah. I've actually, funny thing is, this is the first time I've ever been to Sydney.
Really?
Yeah.
And this is my first time in Sydney too.
There you go. Just a couple of guys hanging out in Sydney.
Just a couple of dudes being guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it took me about 20 hours of flights, 29 hours door to door to get here.
I know how that feels.
What about you?
Yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah, but
max.
You were stateside this year.
Yep. I'm fortunate enough to go to Fire Department Instructors Conference, FDIC, last few years, and it's a completely different world in America. Everything's a little bit bigger, a little bit different, and that conference is huge.
How was FDIC for you?
Tiring. I wish I had more of me to speak to as many people as I could, but it's fantastic. I really love how friendly everyone was over there, and you could speak to anybody about anything, and it was great. And everyone's there for the same reason, just to learn and get better. It's good.
It truly is like a Super Bowl of firefighting technology and firefighter training. Just people in the room, and yeah, it's definitely. I know within some of the industry partners back here, I feel like it's sometimes the year is sort of the life before FDIC and life after FDIC with all the planning that goes into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the biggest one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's COVID was kind of threw a monkey wrench in everyone's plans, but it's a remarkable show. And actually, I know this next year, the day before the official show starts on the Wednesday, there's going to be a focused tech symposium that's going to be about 4 hours of classroom dialogue, kind of panels and back and forth dialogue between participants, and then 4 hours in the field of deploying technologies like common operating picture, wearables, communication devices, and drones, and really seeing it, not just talking about it on the whiteboard, but actually seeing it in practicality.
Yeah, there's so much training opportunities that happen over there. It's mind-blowing. You can train into any little facet that you want on fire service, whether it be technology or hands-on training or leadership even. It's just so much over there.
And then so you, after you were in Indy, you made your way up north to my hometown of Chicago.
Yes. We went to Chicago, myself and a few colleagues, and we got the royal treatment by Chicago Fire Department, which was fantastic. Got to check out a few fire stations, the training college there, even get a ride on the fireboat up and down the river. I'm not sure what the river's name is. It runs up through the middle of the city.
It's called the Chicago River.
There you go.
Really clever.
There you go. That was a stumper.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I live there. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the Chicago River. So what did you learn? What was maybe something, an insight that you developed from spending time in the Chicago Fire Department?
Really was impressed by how the training college was ran. The discipline from the recruits was amazing to see how devoted they were at not just learning, but they were just really enthusiastic about being there. They would get their hands dirty quite often. I think the day we were there, they were cleaning everything on site. They were out there scrubbing the floors. All the banisters were being wiped down. Every hose was being cleaned. And I really took a lot from that, being a trainer myself, to see what we could bring back from that attitude in training.
Well, speaking of training facilities, I had the fortune of going to the New South Wales training facility, the one that was spilled a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It really was blown away. But I was talking with some Melbourne firefighters the other day, and I hear Melbourne has quite the training facility as well.
Yes. We have Craigieburn Training Academy, which opened about 10 years ago. It's a very unique facility. We have a lot of capability to train in almost all hazards and at all ranks, which is amazing capacity to have for fire service, to be able to do what you need to get done in that training environment at one facility. It's not our only facility, but it's very, very useful for us, especially when it comes to hot fire training, recruit fire training, promotions, things like that.
So all this talk of training, you must be a trainer.
Yep. How'd you guess?
I don't know. Just kind of pull it out thin air. But as structural training.
Yeah. So we have a structural department or tactical department. And our key focus is on compartment fire behavior training. So it's like the fire science behind extreme fire behaviors. And then we also expand on that, where we teach participants how to use the knowledge that we just taught them in fire science and the tactics to overcome them. So everything from deploying hose to managing hose to water application on the fire, turning up, putting it out.
And then I'd love to know more about kind of your training methodology. I think this is sort of a cliche question, but like, what does training mean to you?
I think training is the key for an emergency service. And I don't think emergency services really do as much as they can. Training's a hard culture to do. You say training to a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people, and they go, oh, I don't know, I've done that, don't need to do that again. But training, if you learn the basics and you master the basics and you understand the knowledge and you keep pushing yourself, it just makes you a better, safer firefighter on the fire ground.
And there was some conversation at the training academy yesterday of just the importance of seeing and experiencing something before you do it and how that ties into your decision making, where if you're experiencing something for the first time, it's hard to know if you're making the right or wrong decision.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like if you go to a fire incident and it's the first time you've seen a structure fire, for example, and it's the first time you're going to go into the structure and attempt to put it out, and you've never trained for that, or you've never seen those realistic conditions before, you're starting from zero. And that the risk and the danger that you have to you is quite high. So to reduce that risk, you have to have training. You have to have a comfortability to that environment and an understanding on how to combat that environment. And that's where we fit in.
And within the training ecosystem that you're in, I mean, seeing yesterday, there was a lot of props. There were a lot of different kind of stations and different exercises. And within training, are there any new training tools or training technologies that have come on scene in the last couple years? Or are there any kind of new technologies that you're looking at from a training perspective that you're excited about?
Yeah, we're always trying to get the most out of our equipment as best as we can. What we really do well in Australia is the utilization of gas props or propane props, where we can do training in a safe, clean environment. It's not the be-all. You still need to do some training in a hot, dirty environment to get that realism. But the clean environments, you can do sets and reps all day. Sets and reps. Repetitions really help you with your skills. And then you can try it in a dirty environment before you go out into the fire ground and try it out there. So in Australia, we're really good at getting high-tech props, what we call, that keep you safe in a training environment, but you still learn. But it takes an instructor to be able to contextualize that environment for you before you throw somebody in there, you know?
Yeah. And then what about virtual reality training? Is that something that you're looking at?
That is big technology. I'm not a huge expert on the virtual technology other than just playing with it, you know, with my kids. But there are some really exciting programs out there that both in America and Australia alike that show a really safe way to approach fires. What I'm really excited about with virtual reality is how it can help decision making and your incident controllers training without putting anyone at risk. They can sit back like we are now and just do a training scenario and work on their decision making without having to set up a big prop or go to a big training ground. They can do it at the station. They can do it in their office.
Yeah.
That availability and access to training is just another tool for us. You can't always get to a big training ground and do training. You know, sometimes we have to go out to stations and you can't light fires at a station.
Yeah.
As much as we probably want to, VR is the way to go.
Especially when trying to train on some of those high risk, low frequency scenarios, whether it's like a electrical car fire inside of a tunnel or a Blevy fire.
You've got to make a decision now, and you can't pause. You can't stop when you're doing it for real training. Whereas VR, you can make a decision and you can pause and you then discuss it and think, okay, maybe we're going to do this that aligns with our doctrine. And then you can press play again and you can go through it and you go, well, that didn't work. What else can we do? That's the beautiful thing about having a simulator, I guess. Whereas if we light a fire at the training facility, once the fire is lit, it's lit. We have to keep going. There's no pausing the fire. That training, that scenario, that revolution has to continue. It's got a time limit. VR, you've got all the time you need. You can stop it. You can go faster. You can go slower. And it just helps people with decision making in those high consequence, low risk environments. High risk, low frequency environments.
Yeah, or even the high frequency, low risk. I mean, some of the everyday mundane stuff. I think it all kind of comes back to more sets and reps is more better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, no one really wants to come to work and get worse at what they do. No one goes, you know what, today I'm going to be really bad at what I do. Everyone wants to be better. And the only way you can be better at anything is to practice it. Practice, the old adage, practice makes perfect. I'd like to twist it and make it to practice makes consistent, because consistency on a fire ground gives an incident controller so much more repertoire to choose from. When he says,
it gives you confidence. It gives you the belief that, again, you're not necessarily being perfect, but like you said, if you're consistent in being the best you can be and you're doing that as a team, you as an incident commander and you as an individual unit within the brigade can feel pretty confident that whatever challenges are thrown your way, that you, if you're trained and you stick to your training, that you can handle any situation.
Yeah. Imagine being an incident controller and you have a task. So you've got, say, a person presenting at the second story window, and you've got to pick someone from your crew to put a ladder up. Now, if you know someone can do it within 1 minute and can do it really well, but they're not very consistent at it, they might actually fail, as opposed to someone who can do it in 2 minutes, but they're consistent. You know they're going to do it every time at 2 minutes. Now, you as an incident controller, you have someone to choose. So that's called just knowing your spread a little bit.
Yeah.
Knowing who your crew is and how much training they've done and how consistent they are at executing that task. They may not be the fastest, but you know they're going to get it done and you know what limit they're going to be.
Yeah. Well said. And we're here in Sydney, like we mentioned at the beginning of the pod, but also we're sitting under this Institute of Fire Engineers booth, this little hut. For every podcast, actually, I'm gifted one Tim Tam, so you get one as well.
Oh wow!
So yeah, we got all the Tim Tams here. It's fully embracing Aussie culture. But the Institute of Fire Engineers, I hadn't talked to you before, but in your words, what is the Institute of Fire Engineers, and why is it an organization that is important and relevant within the global fire service?
I think it's a link. I'm pretty new to the organization in the IFE organized space. I think it's a link between the industry professionals and the engineers and the scientific world, especially in building construction and innovation, to the firefighters themselves. That link is not always there. You have building being put up. You have fire engineers putting in the fire service safety components. And then you have someone like me teaching fire dynamics in buildings. And to have that link between someone who teaches fire dynamics and fire behavior and understanding how the building responds to those fire dynamics is crucial. And if we don't have it, we've got two organizations that may be talking apples and oranges. So IFE's really linked those two groups in. I've been to a few presentations over the last year or so, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see that link. I'm speaking to people that I never thought I would speak to in a space that I would never usually have access to.
I will say, yesterday, being at the training academy and seeing fire engineers put on PPE and put wet stuff on the red stuff, and seeing those gas props be full steam, I know that a lot of them came out with a different perspective in terms of what it means to say, oh, you just add an extra hose link. It's like, do you know how much a hose link weighs and what it's like? It's like wrestling an anaconda.
Yeah.
So just being able to develop that empathy both ways, to me, was something that was really remarkable to see.
Yeah, it gives them a first-hand experience. They're not just watching it on Hollywood. They're not watching Chicago Fire, you know? They're actually...
It's like backdraft.
Yeah.
All right, that's how it works, right?
It's in the walls.
Yeah.
No, it's a unique opportunity for both sides to see each other's world. And that's what I really take away from it, that opportunity. And I probably wouldn't have had it without IFE.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'd love to get like a final thought, comment from you. If there's any quote or inspiration or words of wisdom that you live by, or aspects within your personal life or the fire service, things that that resonate with you.
Look, I think, to quote someone mostly famous, Ted Lasso, it's just to stay curious. There's so much to learn. Years ago, I thought I knew everything. Then I became an instructor, and then I learned a whole lot more as my world just opened up. And then I meet scientific people who just open it up even more, and if I hadn't have asked the questions and been curious to go and look into different avenues of the fire service or different avenues of fire science, I wouldn't have known anything. I wouldn't have known what I know today. So just be curious.
Well said. Curiosity is probably one of my leading North Stars next to empathy. And I think curiosity in a lot of ways is a winning business strategy. So just
Absolutely.
To stay curious leads to good outcomes. And Steve, the fire brigades and fire service here in Australia is in good hands with you at the helm, Tiefin.
So.
And I just continue to be really impressed by all the Australian fire service members I meet, you included. So thanks for what you're doing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for listening to this episode recorded alongside the Institute of Fire Engineers during the AFAC show. If you found value in the conversation or learned something new, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out, share your thoughts, and let's keep the discussion going on how we can shape the future of smart firefighting.